Welcome back to the Frightflix channel. My name is Nate, and I'm here today to tell you everything you need to know about the upcoming Sundance original miniseries called Hap and Leonard. Actually, I've got a little bit of an agenda for reasons that'll be made clear soon enough. I'm also giving you a little bit of the hard sell. I want you to check out this show. I think this is going to be a really good show. Let me tell you why. First of all, I guess we have to start at the top. What is this show, and who are Hap and Leonard? Well, it is a 6-episode miniseries, which, if popular, will be rolled over into an ongoing series, much like they did with the Walking Dead franchise shows. This season is based heavily off a novel by Joe Lansdale called Savage Season, which proved to be popular enough for these characters were just so striking and unique that they spun off into their own series of novels, the Hap and Leonard mysteries, for lack of a better term. Well, now Sundance has picked up these characters, this idea, this novel, and are turning it into a miniseries. The best way to set the table for who Hap and Leonard are, actually, I'm going to read you one sentence, the opening sentence from a novel called The Two Bear Mambo. When I got over to Leonard's Christmas Eve night, he had the Kentucky Headhunters turned way up over at his place, and they were singing the Ballad of Davy Crockett, and Leonard, in a kind of Christmas celebration, was once again setting fire to the house next door. Leonard is a roughneck. Leonard and Hap are both roughnecks. They're different sides of the same coin. You've got Leonard, who is a Vietnam vet. This book is set in the 80s, by the way, in East Texas, so being a Vietnam veteran, if I say that now in 2016, that indicates a substantially aged man. Not the case. Leonard is still young and tough. He's very patriotic. He's very conservative. He's also a bit of a shit starter. Not only is he black and proud, he's also out and proud. This is a gay African American conservative veteran cowboy. I don't know if all of these boxes have ever been checked off in one character before. What makes Leonard Pine such an amazing character, though, is that he doesn't feel like a collection of quirks. This is a unique, fully developed character that I guarantee you've never seen anybody like Leonard Pine before. Now, the yin to Leonard's yang is Hap Collins. Hap Collins is the direct opposite of Leonard in a lot of ways, but not in ways that are important. Hap is white. Hap is a bedwetting liberal. Hap is a conscientious objector that chose to go to federal prison for a jolt instead of going to Vietnam. Not because he was a coward. He's actually an excellent fighter because he didn't believe in that fight. Hap is straight, and the only thing that he really has in common with Leonard is they are, at heart, they are good guys. They are Southern boys, they are roughnecks, and they both don't mind the occasional dust-up. There's a broad supporting cast of almost as colorful characters. I was going to say equally colorful, but Hap and Leonard are utterly unique, and their chemistry should be something to behold. We'll get into the full cast and crew later. Why is this show being made now? And I guess the big question for you, if you're not familiar with Hap and Leonard, is, well, will I like it? What is it like? Honestly, since I haven't seen it yet, I can't tell you what it's like. Being intimately familiar with the source material, and then also the showrunners and the actors, I'm going to venture a very educated guess and say that If you enjoy shows like the first two seasons of Fargo or the entire run of Justified, then Hap and Leonard is probably going to be right up your alley. It's got an out-of-the-way location with its own local color and accents, of course. It's got a solid cast, and like both of those shows, it's not a mystery of the week. The boys aren't going to get into an adventure week after week. We've got 6 episodes. It's going to be telling one story. I'm sure there's going to be some detours along the way. But still, basically, this is going to be one long movie. So, and Justified and Fargo both followed that. And also for the reason that one creative team is responsible for writing and directing this entire 6 episodes. Jim Mickle and Nick D'Amici are running the show. It also sort of invokes True Detective Season 1. It won't be nearly as somber or depressing, one hopes. But that was a show that had one creative team that did the entire season. And it gave True Detective Season 1 as one of the most cohesive seasons of television you will ever have the pleasure to watch. So I'm hoping that that same sort of consistency is going to be present in Hap and Leonard. Hap and Leonard debuted in the year 1990 in the novel Savage season. I've never spoken to the author, Joe Lansdale, so I don't know this for sure, but reading at the time and having reread it subsequent times, it really feels like a one-off book. He wasn't aiming to create a series based around these two guys, Hap and Leonard. I believe he was just writing this just painfully entertaining novel, and these characters just took off a life of their own and ended up being the stars of, I think the count is up to 7 now. I think they're up to 7 novels, as well as a couple of stories and novellas written by Lansdale. So it's good that this, for all intents and purposes, self-contained novel is going to be used as the basis for this miniseries. This will give us, even if it sets up the backdrop for an ongoing series, we should get a satisfactory beginning, middle, and end with the series, hopefully avoiding the problem faced by the 6-episode miniseries of X-Files, which gave us a beginning and a middle, and then just stopped. Incredibly frustrating. This should serve to stand on its own and hopefully set everything up. Now, Savage season is set 1980s in Laborde, Texas, which is in rural East Texas. The story begins, we've got Hap and Leonard, just a couple of working class stiffs that like to drink beer and start shit and practice fighting with each other. They're both very accomplished hand-to-hand guys. They are, to cut to the chase, approached by Hap's ex-wife, Trudy, who has a slightly illegal, but the sort of illegal where nobody gets hurt sort of proposition where they can go recover some lost money. She's got her own group involved, including her current husband, a couple of other people, and it's a can't-miss endeavor, of course. It's easy money. The thing is, they don't know the area, and they're all sort of white-collar types, and they can't get it done. They need a couple of roughnecks like Hap and Leonard to get involved. So this isn't like, ooh, there's a big mystery. There isn't a big mystery. A couple of guys get a chance to do some easy work for big money. And of course everything gets complicated, partially because Trudy's group has run afoul of a psychotic guy named Soldier and his muscle-bound girlfriend named Angel. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't know any specific details of the show to elaborate on, but also I wouldn't give them. I don't want to tell you what happens. I just sort of want to give you the setup to give you an idea of what this show is going to be like. Of course, I guess the best way to find out what this show is like is to go buy a copy of Savage Season. It's a quick read. You'll read it in a day. It'll fly past, and then I guarantee you'll move on to other Hap and Leonard novels. But I'm getting off topic. I mentioned a little earlier that the show was being written and directed by one creative team. Now, not only is this a creative team for this project, they've been a creative team for, I want to say, about 10 years, going back to 2005, 2006. And this is another reason why I think it's going to be so good, why Hap and Leonard is going to be so good. Why is a review of this humor, action, mystery, thriller show appearing on the Frightflix channel? Well, because Jim Mickle and Nick D'Amici are writing and directing this project. They started off with Mulberry Street, which is pretty good for like a super low budget indie horror film. Their next film was Stakeland. Also, D'Amici stars in most of these, or he acts in most of these movies as well. Stakeland is a very good movie, and it was significantly better than Mulberry Street. This is why I've been eyeballing these guys ever since. I really like Stakeland, but their next movie was called We Are What We Are, and that was even better than Stakeland. The next year, it was 2014, they released Cold in July, which was their best movie yet. They keep getting better every time. This is what I love to see more than anything in creators, is that constant improvement. That's what I'm seeing from these guys. Now, Cold in July was also based on a Joe Lansdale novel, and it had a lot of the same flavor, visually and atmosphere and the setting. So they've got a leg up on the source material already. Like the author Joe Lansdale, he started out as a pretty ballsy horror writer. He would also do westerns, but he did some incredibly memorable short stories. Tight Little Stitches in a Dead Man's Back, Bubba Hotep, which was turned into a movie, Incident on and Off of Mountain Road, which was used for an episode of Masters of Horror. The Night They Missed the Horror Show, one of the most powerful, most effective short stories you could ever read in your life. So this guy started horror and then evolved into a much more colorful, well-rounded style of prose, where he started incorporating a lot of humor. He did mysteries, he's done westerns, but he started with horror. And Mickle and D'Amici also started with horror and have evolved, hopefully taking this horror sensibility and evolving a little bit. So this is yet another reason why I'm psyched, is because these two guys are the showrunners. Hopefully they are going to knock it out of the park. Next up, let's talk cast. We've got these great characters, and it seems that we have got a cast to match them. Michael K. Williams is starring as Leonard. He's best known for his work on TV. He came to prominence as Omar Little on The Wire. That's a show just filled with like all-time classic characters, but anybody who has ever seen The Wire remembers Omar. He's one in a million. He's also a gay black man with a code. Another HBO show, Boardwalk Empire, he played Chalky White, the gang leader of the black section of segregated Atlantic City. He was a bad man with a code, and that in everything he plays, he's got this gravitas about him. It just seems like he has this code of honor. He is a great actor, and I've actually heard some criticism like, oh, they just picked him to play Leonard because he's, played like a gay tough guy before. I would say to you that Leonard Pine is as different from Omar Little as he is from Chalky White, as he is from anyone. Just because the character is tough and gay and black, it doesn't mean that it's similar at all. These are character details. And because I think Michael K. Williams has the range to create something beautiful here. And it's not going to be like any character you've seen him play before. That said, every character you've seen him play before has been awesome. Other half of our dynamic duo, Hap Collins, is played by James Purefoy. Also best known for his TV work. He's been in a ton of movies, yes, but I always remember him best as Mark Antony from Rome. He's memorable in that show. More recently, he has had a 3 or 4 season run on The Following as a cult leader opposite Kevin Bacon. Personally, when I heard the casting, I thought Purefoy was a little too good looking to be Hap. Hap Collins is, just like Leonard, kind of a dick. Unlike Leonard, he's also kind of a loser. He's unlucky in love, in work. He sticks to his guns when he shouldn't, and he's a pushover when he shouldn't be. He's a good guy who just always makes the wrong choice. I expected somebody to be a little more rough-hewn to play him, but hey, you know what? This is a TV show. Maybe they can ugly Purefoy up a little bit, make him a little bit more working class looking. And then I've seen the clips. He's lost his accent entirely and picked up in East Texas, which is nice. Now, the double bonus for both of these great actors being cast is that they have worked together briefly in the past. There was a short-lived show called The Philanthropist, which only lasted for 8 episodes, but Purefoy and Williams were on that show. This gives them a backdrop. Hopefully, this chemistry, this camaraderie, this friendship between the two is going to translate to the screen, because I'll say unequivocally that the most important aspect of Hap and Leonard is the friendship between Hap and Leonard. That's what makes it something so special and so unique. Hopefully, the fact that these two guys have worked together before is going to be a big plus for the show. Moving on, we've also, as Trudy, the femme fatale / ex-wife, Christina Hendricks, best known from her TV work on Mad Men, but I mean, she's really been all over the place for the last few years. You know, sort of like Purefoy, maybe she's a little bit too good looking to be Trudy, but I think she'll dirty herself up, you know, get a little bit more grungy, but she definitely has the talent and the range to play this character. And she's pivotal. Not only is she the female lead, but she's the impetus for all the trouble starting. Her current husband is Howard. He's played by an actor named Bill Sage, who I was a big fan of in the movie We Are What We Are by Mikkel and Demichi. He played the father of a family of cannibals, and he was excellent in it. So I'm looking forward to him being involved. And then we've got the bad guys. Angel, the muscle-bound thug for drug-dealing scumbag soldier. Angel is played by Pollyanna McIntosh. And here's a woman with some horror pedigree. She's the woman from the movie The Woman in 2011. You probably haven't seen it. If you have, you won't forget it. It is remarkably brutal, and she's great in it. More recently, she was in a horror movie called Let Us Pray. She was really good in, although I didn't like the movie. She's also recently been in The Bloodlands and in one of the segments in Tales of Halloween. So she is a legit scream queen, and seeing her play this type of role should be fantastic. Her boyfriend, Soldier, is played by an actor named Jimmy Simpson, who I always think of as Liam McPoyle from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But he's been on House of Cards, The Newsroom, Person of Interest, Breakout Kings, How I Met Your Mother, Psych, House. You know this guy from something. And I know him to play a grade A Weasley scumbag, which is exactly what this character needs. Is this show for you? It's going to be heavy on action. There's going to be some scenes of shocking violence. There's a mystery thriller angle. There's also a lot of humor, and a lot of lowbrow humor. One of the things that's consistent about Hap and Leonard, they're these tough guys who they're both kind of dicks, and they're also pretty juvenile. They'll fight for the death for the right cause, but they'll also make dick and fart jokes from time to time. So we'll see what sort of tone the show strikes. But if it strikes the same tone as the books, it's going to be something that you haven't seen before on television. Debuting March 2nd, Sundance Network. Are you going to be checking it out? Post some feedback. Let me know. I'm definitely going to be there. I'll be watching every week. We may be bringing you a Fright Flicks review of each episode, but that remains to be seen on you and your feedback. Let me know if you're excited about this show. And you know what? If you're not excited about this show, then I did a bad job today. My name's Nate. Get at me on social media, either at FrightFlix or at NateFlix on Twitter or Facebook.